Michael Jackson shit is straight up insane right now. This could literally torch and bury his whole legacy in flames, man. And the internet is completely split. Half the folks riding hard for him, the other half ready to cancel the King of Pop forever. Nah, fuck this timing, bro. Netflix just dropped a documentary called The Verdict, right when that Michael Jackson biopic is out here smashing box office records like it's nothing. So they dropped this joint claiming they got the receipts. This is straight proof that Michael Jackson was actually guilty of all them wild accusations. They interviewed a bunch of people who were deep in the situation, and they laying out what they swear is evidence that MJ really violated those kids, bruh. One of the accusers came forward saying Michael Jackson was giving him alcohol when he was crashing overnight at Neverland. Then showed him straight corn and touched him, dog. What the fuck? And they saying in this doc they found a ton of grooming material stashed at his residence. Shit that lines up exactly with what some of these accusers claim he showed them.
That was to simply do a presentation of some of the materials, sexually graphic material that we had seized from Michael Jackson's home.
Two books introduced by the prosecution. One of them is Boys Will Be Boys, and one I'm going to cover up the cover photo called simply The Boy, a photographic essay. In these books, you will see naked boys sprawled on rocks, naked boys eating bananas, naked boys touching each other. And suddenly, you saw Wade Robson, who sat stock still in the witness chair, slump down. His whole demeanor changed. And you could see these books affected him. And I had to wonder, had Michael Jackson shown him these books?
Did part of Diane Dimond say, well, come on, we've told the story so many times, who's going to want to watch it yet again? And yet, I told you, it's the #1 show at Netflix right now.
Yeah, but you see, Michael, nobody saw what went on in that courtroom. The public did not see what went. There were no cameras allowed. And so as much as I would like to put this in my rearview mirror, I've always thought putting the trial on trial was the one piece of this Michael Jackson puzzle that the public never really knew what happened. They didn't know that Jordy Chandler's mother came and testified and told the court that how she had been bamboozled by Michael Jackson to allow her son to sleep with him.
Dog, one of Michael Jackson's own homies, some dude who apparently had full access to his crib or was snooping through his shit. How the hell he even get that kind of access? Shit was mad unclear in the doc, but whatever. This friend got in there deep. He was able to rummage through all of MJ's personal stuff, bro. And guess what? This ninja found some wild evidence that he swears straight up incriminates Michael Jackson and proves he really did all the nasty shit they accusing him of. Nah, dog, this friend been on a full-blown tear against MJ ever since, going ham. He jumped in this documentary, ran his mouth on every platform, and even dropped a whole damn book trashing him called Unredacted. So Netflix pulled this dude out as one of their star witnesses to quote unquote prove that Michael Jackson ain't innocent at all. He's guilty as fuck.
There was one instance during the trial where he had a conversation with Harvey Levin of Celebrity Justice, now TMZ. And he explained to Harvey how he slept in bed with Michael on hundreds of occasions and had graphic conversations about women. After that, I had questioned Frank and I said, is this true? And he said, yes, this is true. And Harvey went on the media and exposed that. And he reported it. It just kept piling on top of each other. And it was an indication that there was something occurring with children. In 2007, and I have been very outspoken about this, in 2004, I actually met with Tom Sneddon and the Santa Barbara prosecutors to provide information to them of what I saw. If you see an instance of child, you are to come forward. And I also came forward in 2007. I walked into an FBI building in New Jersey, Newark FBI.
Wait a second. Why didn't they use you as a witness if you were so believable in 2004 on the eve of the trial? Why didn't they use you? Why didn't anyone else believe you?
And that right there is exactly why I think this whole fucking thing is straight up unfair as hell, dog. These clowns and they little crew coming out swinging, claiming they got this extraordinary ironclad evidence that proves beyond a reasonable doubt Michael Jackson was guilty. But hold up. Michael Jackson went through probably one of the most insane, extensive investigations in history, bruh. They dug through everything and found zero wrongdoing. Nothing. Prosecutors and investigators put in all that work, tore shit apart, and came up empty. But now these same people who weren't even credible enough for the prosecutors to put on the stand back then, they popping out the woodwork like, nah, we got all the answers, all the proof, all the receipts. And they're out here cashing in heavy, profiting off this drama more than 15 years after the man is already dead and buried. Dog, what the fuck is that? That shit is straight scummy, man. It's wrong as hell. I don't think that's cool at all. And when they confronted this dude about it, his explanations made zero fucking sense. His answer for why the prosecutors never used him as a witness, bro, that shit was straight nonsense. You can't even make it make sense. This whole situation is a mess. I'm not buying it.
Then why should we believe you now?
I don't think it was a question of believing or not believing. I think it was a question of, I didn't fit the case. I didn't fit their narrative. And you see, I was accused of many things, holding them hostage, and when that was just totally, absolutely false. So when I went in there, I didn't fit their narrative, because in a trial in the United States,
you didn't fit their narrative, or they did not believe you. They did not believe you. You were an incredible witness.
I didn't fit their narrative. I'm the one that's being accused, and I went forward. Listen, it's not about believable and non-believable. 20 years later, I've been still trying to clear my name. Why would, in a trial system of you being accused of something, coming forward, providing truthful information and documents and pictures, why would they not use you as a witness? Let me speak. Let me speak. Why would you silence me?
That's our question.
Why would you silence me? That's what we have to ask Ron Zoning, Gordon Auchincloss, and Tom Sneddon.
Because they did not believe you.
It's so fucking easy to sit here now and act like you got all the answers, dog. But back when the real investigation was popping off, they looked at what you had and said, nah, this shit inadmissible. Like whatever you thought was your smoking gun, prosecutors, the same ones dying to lock Michael Jackson up, straight looked at you like, bro, there's nothing here. You got nothing. This ain't court worthy at all. Now that the man's dead, oh, now you want to run your mouth and do this nasty ass work, man. It's nasty, bro. For Netflix to drop this documentary right when the whole world is celebrating Michael Jackson and his legacy, dog, that's some grimy, scummy shit. Now look, it's one thing if this was R. Kelly. Dude got found guilty by a whole jury of his peers. Then yeah, drag his ass whenever they celebrate him. But Michael Jackson, this a whole different story. Why I lean towards him being innocent? Because I actually understand the situation and the context, bruh. Michael Jackson owned half of Sony ATV. He damn near owned half the industry's publishing rights. The Beatles catalog and all that elite shit. Eminem's publishing? Yeah, MJ had that too. Bro had one of the most valuable assets in music history. The industry sharks wanted that shit back by any means necessary. If they had even a shred of real evidence that Michael Jackson did something foul, they would have thrown his ass in jail so fast and snatched it all back. But they didn't have shit. With all them powerful people in the world gunning for his downfall, they still couldn't take him out. Come on, bro. Yo, if there was any truth to this, after Michael Jackson went to London and cussed out Tommy Mottola, calling him evil and going off on that whole community, they would have rallied up and got him out of the paint immediately. Some folks even saying they had to take him out through death because they couldn't get him through criminal charges. Nah, dog, this shit wild. And don't get me started on LaToya. They allegedly kidnapped his sister, dragged her ass to Tel Aviv right before her trip. Toya was out here saying Michael Jackson is innocent. He didn't do this. Then after 2 days in Tel Aviv, Boom. Sudden impromptu press conference where she looks dead in the camera like, my brother is guilty. He did all of it. You don't see the play here? Dog, this is some conspiracy level bullshit. Now, the prosecutor even spoke to TMZ addressing Michael Jackson's innocence and guilt. Man, what the fuck is really going on?
I'm just wondering, he's joining us right now to talk about the documentary. And Ron, thank you so much for being with us.
My pleasure.
I'm curious, when I know that when Michael Jackson was acquitted, it was, I'm sure, a shocking defeat for yourself and the other prosecutors. So I'm wondering why you decided to sit down with the producers to relive this. Do you think that people were going to see it through a different lens?
No, I think that this case was very interesting at the time that it was tried, and it's certainly interesting today. He was one of the world's most recognizable people, very, very talented musician and entertainer. And the charges were serious. And the fact that it's 20 years later and there's still public interest in this case and understanding about it is certainly reason to have a documentary like this.
You know, since the trial, there have been other accusers who've come forward, and certainly the Leaving Neverland documentary shined a new light on those accusers. Do you think that there are more people who'd be, if that trial happened today and Michael Jackson were still alive, would the jury perhaps be more willing to think that this was possible? Because, you know, I remember at the time, a lot of this was that Michael Jackson, as you said, was the biggest star in the world. And so my feeling was that the jury was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. And certainly when there were people like Macaulay Culkin who testified and said, none of this could have ever happened, I'm with Michael all the time and it didn't happen, that the celebrity there may have swayed the jury, but today, maybe that would be different.
Well, there's no question that at the time, the celebrity status of some of these people did affect the jury. And if we had had the benefit of the honest and candid testimony of a number of the other victims in this case, it could have affected the outcome, certainly.
That's the perspective of a straight up sore loser, dog. You all put that man on trial. You had your dirty hands all up in picking the jury that was supposed to decide his fate. He sat right there across from a whole jury of his peers, got a full acquittal on everything. And now, 20 years later, you want to come out like, nah, even though he had his day in court, even though that jury you helped select said not guilty on all charges, he's still guilty? What the heck? And then y'all hit us with that weak ass, oh, it was his celebrity that got him off bullshit. So at that point, why the fuck even put him on trial then, right? If he's found guilty, cool, he's guilty. But if he's found not guilty, nah, he's still guilty because he's a celebrity. Dog, this is clown logic. So basically, he's guilty no matter what. There's nothing he could have done to prove his innocence. Found guilty, guilty. Found not guilty, still guilty cause fame. This is some nasty, grimy ass shit y'all doing, bruh. Straight up foul. And choosing to drop all this right now, at this exact moment when the world's celebrating his legacy, dog, this is one of the nastiest, most disgusting things I've ever seen in my life.
But we don't. And I think that if I had any objection with the documentary, it was that they really didn't address the fact that two of the victims in this case were adamant that nothing had ever happened 20 years ago, have now come forward and said, in fact, they were victims of long-term and intensive molestation by Michael Jackson. As to Wade Robson, he said it was over a period of about 7 years. And frankly, that there was nothing that two people could do to each other sexually that Michael Jackson didn't do with him during that period of time, starting at age 7. Now, if we had had that testimony, the benefit of that testimony in the trial, as opposed to the opposite, which is what we did have, of him testifying that nothing happened, that Michael Jackson was a perfect gentleman and simply helped him with his career, and there was nothing he ever did wrong. Yes, could there have been a different result in the trial? Of course, there could have been a different result. I think that probably it certainly would have benefited us at the time of the trial, and I think it could have been addressed in the documentary as well. There was only the reference to Wade Robson and James Safechuck denying that anything had ever happened to him.
So this dude went under oath, staring down the barrel of prosecution, and swore up and down that Michael Jackson did nothing to him. But now, ain't under oath no more, no threat of catching the case, and all of a sudden, boom, Michael Jackson guilty as fuck. Dog, you cannot make this flip-flopping bullshit up. What the fuck changed, bro? Alright gang, y'all let me know in the comments right now what y'all really think about this mess. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more videos like this. Until then, stay tuned.